Hey guys, GameBoy3800 here once again, and here I'm doing probably by far my most awaited review of all time. Why? Because, what's that? Oh yeah, it's that old Toshiba that I said I couldn't ever fix or whatever. Well, turns out, instead of spending hundreds of dollars like I did, you could have just spent $10 on a new video inverter. Silly me. Yeah, I spent about $200-300 on this, which is not worth it. But, yeah. But because it's one of my most requested, I'm just going to go ahead. Well, it's not, never mind. No one actually requested it, I lie. As you can see, it's blinking. Why is that? Because it's in sleep mode. There we go. Toshiba satellite A70 is up and running. If you haven't already seen the other video where you're having troubles, go look at it. I'll put a link down below and, I don't know, in annotation like right here or something. Yeah, but anyways, after all the commotion and all the bad luck I've had with this thing, bad luck being how much wasted money I spent on this, I say it's a good laptop. It's old, it's thick, but dang it, it gets the job done. Why do I say that? Because if there's one thing Toshiba does right, it's power, and this laptop has a lot of it. It's got a 3.06 gigahertz hyper-threaded processor, and that allows it to have 2 cores. 3.06 dual-core processor. I say that's awesome. I mean, in my desktop there's a 3.8 Pentium 4 processor, 3.8 gigahertz. That's not hyper-threaded and overclocked to 4.02 gigahertz. But that's not nearly as good as this, because if this was one processor with, well, of course it's one processor, but if it had just one core, this 3.06 would be equivalent to a 6.12 gigahertz processor, which is outstanding. But because this thing has such a good processor, another thing I'll say that I like about this is that it's already on standby. But because it has 2 processors, it's got to have 2 fans. They're big fans too. I mean, they're not tiny. And I have big thumbs, so look at that. They're loud too, so gotta watch out for that. Gotta watch out for that. I've replaced the battery with a used one because I didn't want to waste another $50 on another battery. Why do I say another battery? Because the first one I got, as soon as I put it in, it popped and broke. So, yeah, thank you Hong Kong again. They killed one of my laptops before with a bad power supply, and now they killed a battery. Gotta love Hong Kong and China. But anyways, hopefully you've seen the other video. It's easily one of my top 10 most viewed, with I think 3,000 views now, maybe a little less. But opening this thing back up, there's one thing I don't like about this laptop. It's the speakers. They're terrible. And I'll give you a perfect example. Opening up Google Chrome. I already have a video set up for testing. And this is another one of my most viewed videos. but it's got by far the best soundtrack I've ever selected. I'll turn up the volume all the way, which isn't that loud. There we go. So now, you might think, well, that's not too bad. Well, imagine this. The speakers are right there. So if I'm typing or something, like typing a comment while the video is playing, my hand covers up the speakers. And even so, look at how tiny they are. They're not good quality, and because they point straight up, they don't come towards me. So the sound quality is not good unless you hold your hand in front of it, just making all the sound go directly to you. That's the only thing I see bad with this computer. Okay. My brother and sister, Taekwondo. Yeah, they're always up to something. But because also another thing why this has such a good processor, I'll show you a comparison. This is one of my favorite games. Stick War on Arcade Pre-Hacks. Why is it called Pre-Hacks? Take a guess. Someone hacked it. Okay, now let me just open up Task Manager. See how these hover at around 80–75%? Well, on all my other laptops, it's always at 100%. This thing shows another 20% to go, so there you go. And thankfully it's dual core, so there goes the fan, see? Oh yeah, one more thing. Can someone tell me what Super G is? I never understood what it was. It's just always been there. If it'll ever focus. There we go. Super G. Oh, it's probably the graphics card. But Pentium 4 inside, designed for Windows XP. Windows XP Pro, in fact. I was going to put Media Edition, but for some reason, well, it was a for Dell only CD, so yeah, it'll kind of kill you sometimes. This thing has 1.12 gigabytes of RAM. I was about to say gigahertz, but gigabytes of RAM. Oddly enough, I've only got one 1 gigabyte stick of RAM in there. It can handle up to 1.5 gigabytes of RAM, but I'm guessing this thing has 128 megabytes of standard system RAM to start up with. And then when you go and add another gigabyte of RAM, there we go. Yeah, it's nowhere near as good as today, like today of laptops that have 16 gigs of RAM standard. And then, like, if you go to the gaming computers, you've got some that have 160 gigs of RAM. Those are like extreme Alienware desktops and stuff. Speaking of Alienware, I'm really looking forward to getting Alienware Area 51 M7700. Why? Because there's 5 fans and a freaking good processor. 5 fans on a laptop. I don't know why. Why would you ever want to care for something like that? I mean, every month or so you'd have to open it up and clean up the fans. Which wouldn't be too bad. Just lift up the keyboard and it'll be good. I'm just going to shut this now. the battery, I haven't actually used it enough to tell how long it lasts, but I can play a good 45 minutes of that game, stick or hacked. And you saw how I was using the processor at 80% hovering around there. It would last, it would get to about 50-60% around that, yeah. But again, I'm not sure how good the battery is. I got it used, untested. It works fine. Don't get me wrong, it works great. But still. One more thing I would say is that, look here. You're probably thinking, well, that's just a DVD drive without its cover on. Wrong. It's actually a second hard drive bay by Dell. Yes, Dell. I'm surprised it worked, but it works flawlessly. I have all my old videos, the Sonic LPs on this. Parts 1, 2, and 3 are actually up. On the back you have heatsink, and what's the second one hold for? Another heatsink is in there. It's actually all part of one heatsink. Here's an example. 2 fans, RAM port, what do you call that? Wireless. Using it so often I forget what it's called. Have heatsink there, and then from the second fan, heatsink there. Yes. Oddly enough, for this one, it doesn't have an SD card slot, and that's the same motherboard that's in here. So, in order to have, well, normally there would be an SD card slot on the side, but it would lead to nothing. So, I got a bottom case of an A75 model that didn't have it. Oh, and I lost the hard drive cover. Great. Yeah, that's me. I lose everything. Everything's clustered around here. I often make these videos way too long. Longer than they have to be. I was going to open it, but no, there's no point. If you need any help or solutions of laptops or other computers, I'm the one to ask. Although it took a long time to figure out what this one was, I've finally got it. Video inverter. If the screen's not showing up, it's either A, a bad backlight, B, bad video inverter, or in worst case scenarios, bad screen, which would also be the backlight. I fail. But, again, this is the motherboard that has the smart card and SD card slot reader. But I don't want to risk it overheating. That was the problem with this motherboard. It was overheating. So yeah. This motherboard, yeah, I have 3 motherboards I used for parts. As you can see, there's no screws holding the PCMCIA slot on. Why is that? Because I took it off. And something just broke off of it. Oh, it's always a joy, right? When something breaks off the motherboard. But again, this is another one that has no SD card slot. Otherwise, it's all the same. But I used this one for parts. I had... Yeah, never mind. Want to know something I was doing when I was working on a Nintendo DS? Yeah, I work on DS's too, just getting into that. Here's the top screen of an original DS. It broke. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a new cable for that somehow. Also, when I did that, the little thing for the speaker broke, so it doesn't get sound. Here's this system board of it. It's very light, but yeah. Other than that, it will work pretty good. I know what I was doing with it. I was going to give it a custom black DS case, which would be awesome if it was put together. Yes, I'm just giving you updates of future plans is all. Oh well, again, this video is way too long, so I'm just going to call it quits. And my final verdict, hot shoes.